Now, to help us understand this conflict between the U.S. and Iran, we're joined by Renato de Castro, International Studies Professor from the De La Salle University. And his area of specialization is U.S. foreign policy. Good morning, Professor. Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much for giving me a chance to express my view regarding this matter.
Okay, so this conflict began with the killing of General Qasem Soleimani. Why did he have to be killed, and what's the implication of that?
I won't use the term conflict. I would use the term competition.
Why?
They're in a game. Iran and the United States are in a game. The game probably began as early as the 1950s, when you have, of course, the CIA operation that overthrew Mossadegh. And Iran became a very good ally of the United States until 1979, where you have the Islamic State. But every now and then, you would have cooperation between Iran and the United States. More recent cooperation was, of course, the fact that you have the Shia militia, led by Soleimani and the Kurds, cooperating with the United States against the Islamic State. So at a certain point, this gave the Iranian-backed militia greater hand to create what you call the crescent, the Shia crescent. So this alarmed Washington, D.C., so they have to do something about it. And of course, the goal, on the other hand, of Iran is to slowly push the United States out of the region. But there are rules regarding this game. So I won't use the term conflict, and both sides still do not want to have the competition to escalate into actual conflict.
All right, and U.S. President Donald Trump spoke to the media a couple of hours ago, and he said, okay, it appears there's a scaling back.
Yes, the escalation.
Right? Yeah.
So, it will be their interest to de-escalate this competition.
Definitely, nobody wants war in that region.
Yeah, no, the United States has learned its lesson with Iraq, with the occupation in Iraq, and Iran is very much aware that it's, and it would go into conflict against the only superpower in the world.
Some analysts have said that the attacks into the housing of some U.S. military officials, there were missiles fired in that direction, but nobody was hurt. So some analysts have said that this was sort of a face-saving move by Iran to say, look, we fired back, but then they didn't cause too much damage so as to escalate tensions with the U.S. Do you agree with that?
It's primarily directed to their domestic. So they're telling their people, yeah, the United States scored this, killed the second-ranking military official. So the government would have to do something. So they fired not necessarily missiles because they don't have guidance system. They fired rockets.
Okay,
probably Chinese-made rockets that do not really intend to cause harm, but more of symbolism.
All right, and following the press conference of President Trump, where he said there is a de-escalation, there are these new rockets being fired in the green zone. Does that change anything?
No, I don't think so. It's in green zone, supposed to be the U.S. Embassy is located in the green zone, but it's a wide area. And again, it's reported that there's been no casualty. So the only...
And that's deliberate,
That's
right?
deliberate, yeah. The only problem here is that you might have a third party that could really unravel this efforts by both sides to de-escalate the competition.
And who would such a third party be?
On the other hand, you have the militia, Hezbollah, those who are affiliated with the Shia-backed militia. On the other hand, you might have, of course, Israel on the side of the United States, and other countries that, of course, are supportive of American presence in the Middle East, like Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Qatar. So there's a number of angles behind this supposed to be competition between the United States and Iran.
So what's the next move now for the U.S.?
For the U.S. is, of course, not to retaliate. Probably wait for Iran to give us a go signal that we're willing to negotiate. So probably the first issue that they will have to tackle is the nuclear issue of Iran. And the second probable reason that they will have to discuss is what will be the state right now of Iran's effort to create what you call the Shia crescent. Because right now, Iran is in a position to slowly expand into the Middle East because of the fact that they were in Iraq, aligned with the United States against ISIS. So this gave them a leverage. So what Soleimani, the late general, was trying to do was to push that, we have this advantage. We're in the position so the United States, by executing or assassinating him, basically told, no, you have pushed us to the threshold, so probably we have to, say this is the red line.
Right, we're not going to let you go that far.
Okay.
Now, Iran has said that it will do you think Iran will make good on its threat to attack U.S. allies if the U.S. retaliates, even though the U.S. has said that it
That
won't?
will lead to escalation. So the Iranians are basically said, no, we would directly attack American military assets.
All right. And if they were to do that, which looks unlikely now at this point, what capacity do they have to carry that out? And what is the worst kind of damage that they could carry out?
The worst kind of damage that they might do is what they did again way back in the 1980s, to block the Straits of Hormuz and attack ships that are, of course, carrying oil from the Middle East to other parts of the world. They go back to that strategy when they would use, of course, their brown water navy to basically harass international shipping passing through the Straits of Hormuz.
Now, whenever there is some kind of conflict or tension in the Middle East, this affects the rest of the world. Other countries are now affected by what's happening. In particular, our OFWs. They've got the mandatory evacuation from Iran, Iraq, and even Lebanon. How does this conflict between the U.S. and Iran affect the international community?
Well, of course, usual question there is the oil. Middle East is supposed to be source of oil, but not anymore. Actually, it's the United States, the largest producer of oil right now because of the fracking revolution. Also, you have Russia producing oil. So it's not anymore that important. What might really complicate the issue is just in case push comes to shove and you have a head-on conflict between the United States and Iran, and this might drag other regional powers into this conflict. I'm talking about, for example, Russia and probably even China. Because you have also to look at this competition between Iran and the United States in the wider context of U.S. competition against Russia and China. So this might complicate the situation.
All right, hopefully not. Thank you so much for being
Thank you
here
very
this
much
morning.
for
We
giving me
do
a chance.
appreciate it. Professor Renato de Castro.